Welcome back to 0 to 60. Now in this video I'm going to be showing you exactly how you can service your Mini yourself. There's going to be a step-by-step guide, and down in the description there's going to be a list of all the consumables and all the tools that you're going to need. So let's get straight into servicing your Mini. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get the car up in the air. If you've got a set of ramps, that's ideal. If you haven't and you need to jack up the car, check out this handy video because it shows you exactly how to do it safely. Now there's a few things that you're going to need to service the car. A good toolkit's always handy, gloves, obviously the consumables, but the two main things is a 17mm socket and a 32mm socket. Now underneath the car there's actually two flaps that you can just undo. Some people take off this whole under tray, but you don't need to do that. You just flip down these two flaps to give access to your sump and your oil filter. So as you can see in here, there's the access to your oil filter, and here is the access to your sump plug. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we can actually get these undone first before we do anything else, because if we can't, then there's no point in going any further. Just a quick turn of your ratchet to make sure that that will undo. You can always tweak it back up and do exactly the same thing on your oil filter housing as well. So sometimes they're quite stiff, so you will need to give it a little bit of large, but make sure that you can get these undone and then just tweak them back up before we go any further, because the last thing you want to do is put engine flush in your engine and then not be able to complete the service. So both of these are undoing okay. Tweak them back up. Let's get up to the top of the car to put in your engine flush. So any engine flush is fine for this. So we're going to pop it into the engine. You can either use a funnel, or if you've got a nice steady hand, you can just pour the whole thing straight in. Now these small engine flushes are great. You can get 5-litre ones, but it means you've got to drain the whole of the oil out first and then flush it. These are a much easier option. So just tip the whole thing into the car without spilling any. And then once you've done that, pop the oil filler cap back on, and you want to then start up the car and leave it running for around 10 to 20 minutes to get it nice and hot. Once you've done that, the oil's now thin and even thinner with the engine flush, and it will come out much easier. So next up, we're going to be using these oil pans to collect the oil as it comes under the car, and it's also handy to have something to put the oil in afterwards. Now I always put down some old cardboard under the car, but we'll get back onto that later. Next up, we're going to do the air filter, and on this car it's dead easy. There's 5 bolts and they are T25 Torx bits. All of this will be down in the description, so you know exactly what tools you're going to need. But this is a T25 Torx bit. Simply undo all of the bolts around the filter housing and then lift up the housing. You'll be able to letterbox the filter straight out and replace it with the new one. Now it is a good idea just to have a look inside the box, and if there's any debris, leaves or anything that the car sucked up, get that out, or get a hoover in there and suck it out. On this occasion there's nothing in there, so we're just going to slide that new filter straight back in. Once you've got the filter back in, just double check, have a really good look that it's sitting flat and flush, because you don't want it hanging out the side or being squashed in a way when you put the lid down that's not correct and letting any contaminants or dust or debris getting past it into the engine. So do just double check that that's nice and flat and flush. Once you've done that, get rid of the old filter and grab your T25 Torx, and then simply do it all back up exactly how you undid it, and just do it hand tight. There's no need to over tighten this. You don't want to be cracking any of the plastics on here. Next up, take the oil filler cap off of the top of the engine. This is going to enable the oil to come out the bottom faster. And then what we're going to do, I've got both of these trays here underneath, and there's a reason I've got to, even with just a 5 litre flush. So let's get the sump plug undone. It's going to come out pretty quick, so be ready. Then undo the rest with your fingers and it'll release. And as you can see, it comes flying out, so you need to be ready. It's hot oil as well, so remember, it's going to burn you if it gets on you. Now, once half of the oil's come out, grab the other tray and then continue to hold it and fill. And the reason we do this is because if you put it all in one tray, as soon as you start to move that tray, it's going to slop about and go all over your drive. So there you can see, we've got about half in each one, which is ideal. Now coming back onto that container. Top tip here is to use an old cardboard box, put your container in it, and then put your funnel on your container that you're going to be putting the oil in. And that way, if you do drop any, it's going to go into the cardboard box and not on your lovely new driveway, if that's what you've got. Next up, back under the car, we're going to now remove the oil filter. Now, it's underneath, as you know, 32mm socket, got a nice long extension. Now, there's two ways you can do this. I'm just undoing the whole thing and taking it out. But do be aware that if you do it in one go like I am, that the oil is still in the oil filter and it can drip out all over the place. So make sure that you've got something underneath like these containers to catch it. And it can splosh around and end up getting in your eyeball. Now, if you're enjoying this video and you're finding it helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a like and share. Next up, it's always handy to have some rags with you just to clean up your tools as you go through or wipe your gloves off. So that's always a handy thing to know. And pull out the old oil filter. Have a good look at it. Make sure there's no metal particles in there. This is looking good. And then I'm just going to give the oil filler housing just a quick wipe out, ready to put the new oil filter in and back in the car. Now, you should get a little packet with your oil kit, and it will contain a few things, including a copper washer, crush washer, a new ring rubber washer, and also a new bottom cap. I'll show you all of these in a moment. So here's the new oil filter, and that will actually clip into the housing just like that. Now, this is what's inside the packet. There's an extra oil filler cap, which can be undone to drain the oil. I didn't do that. I just took the whole thing out. Now, with the copper crush washer, you need to take the old one off of the sump plug and put the new one on. And for the rubber O-ring on the oil housing, just use a flathead screwdriver to gently ease that off. Pop the new one on and just rub a little bit of the oil, old oil, around that ring. It just stops it from sticking when you want to next do an oil filter change. It goes in that slot all the way around and sits flush, as you can see. Then we're simply going to go back up, do it by hand tight. You do have to give it a good push on these oil filters because it actually sits in a plastic part. So give it a good push and then you can continue to screw it back on like so. Then we're going to get the sump plug and do exactly the same. Do that up by finger tight, and then simply get your sockets and tweak up both the sump plug and the oil filter so they're both done up firmly. Then simply put the caps back on the under tray and do them up. And as you can see on the cardboard, it doesn't matter how careful you are, you always spill a bit. So I'd always put some cardboard underneath. Now, we're coming up to filling the car back up with oil. This one takes 5 litres. I like to use an oil can like this on the right. It makes it so much easier. If you haven't got one of those, use a funnel. Take out your dipstick if you've got one, give it a good wipe and have a good look. As you can see here, there's nothing on there. It's completely clear and dry. Pop that back in. Now, this car takes 5 litres, but we're not going to shove 5 litres straight in. What we're going to do is we're going to put between 4 and 4.5 litres into the car, because the worst thing we want to do is to overfill it. Otherwise, we've got to take some out, and that's a pain in the butt. So put less in first, check your dipstick. If there's nothing on there, put some more in. In this case, we're actually just up to the bottom line here. You can see that. It's wet at the bottom, the rest is dry. So we know we're nearly there. So I'm going to add another 1/2 litre and see how we are. And then double check that dipstick again. And I can see we've got enough room to use the whole lot. So we're going to put all the 5 litres in. So then we're just going to double check over everything. We're going to do the oil filler back up on the top of the car. We're going to double check the dipstick, make sure that's where we want it to be. It's perfect. It's just under that top marker, which is where we want it. We're then going to start the car back up, double check everything that we've done the oil cap up. We've put the oil dipstick back in and that's secure. There's no gaps here or here. Perfect. And that the car's not leaking any oil underneath while it's running too, and that the flaps are closed. And that's it. The service is complete. Now, if I can do it, you can do it too. Check out the other videos that we've got on, because there's loads of DIY car videos that you can do too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.